is WVUA 23 News at 10.
A cold front makes its way into our viewing area. Good evening, I'm Jabari Pruitt along with Peter Crank. Of course, in tonight's top story, it's time to bundle up.
But what should we do to prepare for these freezing temperatures tonight? WVUA 23's Yasmin Pineda has more.
Jabari, Peter, I actually went home and noticed people already taking steps to prepare for the freeze.
This time of year calls for bare trees, earlier sunsets, and
we're going to have calm winds, a clear sky, and that cold air is going to sit over the state. And so that will allow our temperatures to drop significantly.
Which means precautionary measures should be taken.
When temperatures start to fall below freezing, we need to consider the three main P's that are related to cold weather, and that includes your pets, your plants, and your pipes.
If you normally keep your pets outside, make sure to bring them indoors at night. Remember to bring your plants indoors. This will keep them from dying. Also, to keep your pipes from bursting, Peter advises to keep your sinks dripping throughout the night. It is also advised to keep your thermostat in the upper 60s.
Also, a reminder not to neglect the elderly during these times and to check on them frequently. Reporting in the studio, I'm Yasmin Pineda, WVUA 23 News.
And of course, that's some good advice. And of course, Peter, just how long are we under this freeze advisory?
The freeze warning went into effect at 9 o'clock this evening. It is in effect until 9 a.m. tomorrow because it is going to be very chilly across the area overnight tonight. We are already sitting at 32 degrees here in Tuscaloosa, so very cool across the area right now. And it's going to only get colder as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Very chilly conditions, 34 over in Birmingham. And we're looking at that freeze warning. It is over all of central Alabama, even down into Montgomery and southern Alabama and back into nearly the entire state of Mississippi as well. So we are dealing with some very chilly temperatures, the coldest of the year. This will also likely end the growing season for us. So go ahead and bring those plants inside. If you have any outdoor plants, bring in the pets as well. Check on the elderly, as we mentioned before, because it is going to be very chilly overnight tonight. The good news is we will warm back up as we go into the day tomorrow. We'll see high temperatures back into the mid-50s with plenty of sunshine out there. So it will be chilly tomorrow morning, but it will warm up. So there is relief from the cold weather in sight. Jabari?
All right, Peter, thank you. Well, some community leaders are honored today. The Daystar Family Church in Northport honored local servicemen for their work in the community. Mayors, police chiefs, state troopers, and the University of Alabama Police were all honored. Daystar pastor says he felt it was necessary to thank those who protect our community.
We believe in the time that we live in, we really need to support our law enforcement. Even though there are situations and systemic problems that need to be fixed with law enforcement, we want law enforcement to know there's a blue wave of support, that we support you, we're behind you, we're praying for you.
Now, the pastor says this is an important part of the church's community outreach. And some young African Americans are also honored today. 7 people received their pin as members of the University of Alabama Collegiate 100. The men have to show 2 semesters of outstanding behavior and academic excellence in order to receive their pins.
It's definitely a big deal because here on the University of Alabama's campus, it's not too many different organizations outside of Greek organizations that provides opportunities for young African-American males here on the campus.
Now, about 100 people showed up for this event. And a local church celebrates a historic moment tonight. WVUA 23's Kristen McIntosh joins us now with more. Kristen, good evening.
Good evening, Jabari. After a long search for a pastor, Friendship Baptist Church made a decision to appoint Reverend Bruce Henderson. They made it official by having a pastoral installation for Henderson tonight. Friendship Baptist was to full capacity as members and visiting churches came to welcome him and his family. The theme of the night was a man of God chosen, called and consecrated to serve. Ministers from across the state gave encouraging words and advice to Henderson as he prepared to take his new position. Pastor Henderson says he feels honored and is excited to see what the future holds.
It's a wonderful feeling after the Spirit-filled service, the installation program, the choir's song, the preacher preached the gospel, and I'm just ready now for the church to move forward and see what God has in store for us. So I'm just overjoyed. I'm on a cloud I can't even count now.
Reverend Henderson will preach his first sermon as official pastor next Sunday and says everyone is invited. Reporting live, I'm Kristen McIntosh, WVUA 23 News.
All right, Kristen, thank you. Well, construction started 3 months ago on the Dollar General in Foster's. It's located on Gainesville Road and Highway 11. Today, it officially opened for business. WVUA 23's Taylor Mooney shows us how this will impact the community.
The doors have finally opened to a Dollar General in the Foster's community. It's been in the works now for the last 3 to 4 years, and the store opens Sunday around 3 p.m. District 4 Tuscaloosa County Commissioner Reginald Murray is excited about the project being completed.
It's going to have a huge economic impact and conveniently located at the Holly Springs, Gainesville Highway 11 intersection, and it's been very well received.
Murray expects the economic impact to spread not only in Foster's, but to Pickens and Greene counties as well. Residents previously had to travel to Northport to the closest Dollar General.
There's no competition here, really. I mean, they're bringing a lot. There's, big grocery store across the road, but this is totally different than that. And so I'm just so thankful that they're here.
Dollar General brings nearly 20 new jobs. The store has everything from cell phones to foods and over-the-counter medicine. The intersection of Holly Springs Road and Highway 11 now have developments on 3 of the 4 corners. Residents say the biggest thing for them, though, is convenience. Reporting in Foster's, I'm Taylor Mooney, WVUA 23 News.
Well, fashion and hard work were showcased tonight in the 7th annual Fashion for Life. University of Alabama senior design students had the opportunity to show who they were as a designer before graduation. Each student created up to a 10-piece collection.
Oh, it's crazy. They put so much effort into it. I see them working in the design labs, long hours. Each thing probably takes around 10 to maybe even 20 hours. The wedding dress could take up to 25 hours. They spend 8 weeks, so almost a whole semester on the collection.
All proceeds will go to Hospice of West Alabama. And Thanksgiving is almost here, and that means lots of food. WVUA 23's Priscilla Estrada has more on how you can avoid overeating.
Jabari, it's one of the most anticipated holidays of the year, and many of you may be prepared to pile up your plate a mile high. But here's something to think about before doing so. That sizzling turkey and all those sides mean one thing: Thanksgiving. Just accept there's no way around it, but you can control what you eat.
Honestly, as good as the food is down here in the South, I know it's going to be very hard for people to try and portion out what they eat or watch what they eat. It could be as simple as portioning out, getting just one serving, a small serving, not overloading your plate, drinking ice cold water, which is sometimes a natural appetite suppressant.
According to research from the Calorie Control Center, the average person consumes 3,000 calories to be exact, and another 1,500 from snacking.
To avoid overeating for the holidays, of course, I'm going to, watch my portion size and not sit down on the sofa after I eat, get up and move around some dishes, or go outside and do a brisk walk.
Also, another tip in terms of controlling your appetite, sometimes eating a little bit slower, you'll actually find that you get full a lot faster from a smaller amount of food. A lot of times it takes about 15 to 20 minutes for the average person to realize that they're actually full, for their stomach to send a signal to their brain. Now, if you were to overeat and indulge, sometimes you'll feel super full, and that's when you get that the coma, the food coma, as people like to call it.
Constant also says as long as you're mindful of how much you're eating during those holiday temptations, you should be okay. Reporting tonight, I'm Priscilla Estrada, WVUA 23 News.
And Gorgas Library has partnered up with the Marine Corps for the annual Toys for Tots drive. They will go to needy families in the community. So far, 62 toys have been donated. Now, if you would like to donate, just drop off a toy at the Gorgas Library on the University of Alabama campus. And the 40th annual West Alabama Christmas Parade is December 7th. Our very own Lynn Brooks, Richard Scott, and Tamika Alexander will bring you the floats, marching bands, and holiday cheer live right here on WVUA 23. ISIS and the refugee crisis, the focus as President Obama wraps up his 9-day trip to Asia. Kim Hutcherson reports.
President Obama took a harsher tone against ISIS while speaking at a press conference in Malaysia Sunday.
They're a bunch of killers with good social media. The most powerful tool we have to fight ISIS is to say that we're not afraid.
The president went on to say that the world will not accept terrorist assaults on civilians as the new norm and will continue to fight the terrorist group.
We will cut off their financing. We will hunt down their leadership. We will dismantle their networks and their supply lines, and we will ultimately destroy them.
During the press conference, the president also addressed the backlash in the U.S. against accepting Syrian refugees.
If you layer it with more and more bureaucracy, that doesn't actually make us safer.
New Jersey Governor Chris Christie spoke out about President Obama's refugee plan.
He should set up a no-fly zone in Syria and a safe zone in Syria for refugees to be able to stay inside their own country. This is not an issue we should even have to be addressing inside the United States.
Earlier this week, the House overwhelmingly approved a bill to halt Syrian and Iraqi refugees from entering the U.S. until key security agencies certify those refugees don't pose a security risk. The Senate now has the bill. If it passes, the White House has said it will veto such legislation. I'm Kim Hutcherson reporting.
And due to the terror attacks on Paris, security was beefed up at all college football games in the state on yesterday. Governor Robert Bentley made that announcement on Friday. Now, there are no known threats in Alabama or anywhere else in the U.S. And, of course, before we head to break, we're going to get a quick check of that forecast.
And so we have very chilly temperatures in place tonight. We'll see the 20s. Be prepared for that. All the details of the rest of our week of Thanksgiving forecast when we get back from the break.